Today I'm doing a quick little video on Mirka sandpaper. I just picked this stuff up. It's Mirka Abranet Ace HD. It's the 80 grit, and there's 25 in a box, and there's 6-inch. So they fit my Festool RO 150 very well. My issue is I do a lot of carving on curves on rocking chairs, all sorts of stuff. So I need something that's, somewhere between like Kutzall. Kutzall might be like a 20 to 30 grit tool. And then the next thing I do, I go to rasps, and rasps are quite rough. The next thing I go to is, after I use the Kutzall and the rasps, is I go to a sandpaper. So my lowest grit is usually 80. And I use this stuff from 3M. So it's the 3M Cubitron. And it's really good. It's great. It's super aggressive. It keeps its cutting surface for a very long time. I find it's amazing, especially on flat surfaces. But my challenge is, on curves, it can tend to tear. And I find that with Festool and also with Sia, both very good papers. This is very good paper. But when I get into a lot of curves, they tend to tear. And I found that with pretty much every sandpaper that I've used. What I find really interesting about this Mirka is it's very thick. It's mesh, and it has the hook and loop on the back, but it's very, very thick. Now, it might be hard for me to show in this video. I'm not sure if you can see that thickness difference here. I'll try to hold them up next to each other, but it's probably pretty hard to tell. This stuff is quite thin. It's probably a little less than a 32nd, and this stuff here is well over a 16th, so it's very robust. Now I'm going to try it on some curves. I'm going to give it a whirl and see how it works, and I'll let you know what I think. But yeah, I'm very excited. All right, so trying out this Mirka 80 grit paper, I am very impressed. I put it through some very difficult areas on a chair. Right in here where there's tight corners, there's some really hard stuff. Back in here, there's some really tough angles. This sanding pad withheld throughout. There's a couple little nicks, but barely anything. I actually hit the sander on this corner where it normally would have ripped a sanding disc apart completely, but I just got this little tiny nick here, so it worked very, very well. Again, it did all these angles. When you touch the tip or the edge of a sanding disc into a corner, it'll tend to tear or rip or chip. This one didn't. It did a very good job. I felt like the disc was very aggressive. It removed a lot of material, but it also did not chip or tear. So I would say the work I did on these arms tonight would usually take me maybe 3 regular sanding pads at 80 grit because they would tear and break and chip. I got through pretty much all the work I need to do with the 80 grit with this one pad. The Abranet box cost me $38 and there's 25 discs, so you can do the math on that. About $1.50 each, so pretty well priced. I thought that was a good price point, and it really did a very good job. Again, I have this one little nick on the pad, and that was my fault. I hit a very hard edge because I just wasn't paying attention to where that edge was. So, but overall, I'm impressed. I think that was a very good test, and I'm very happy with this. I think it's really good paper.